How's it going, everybody? Connor here with another episode of FBA Fridays. Hope you're having a great day. Today, what I want to talk about is how to protect your business by setting up an LLC and things to consider before you go ahead and set one up. Let's take a look. All right, so first off, what is an LLC? An LLC stands for a limited liability company, and it is basically creating a separate entity outside of you and or your partners. And really what it does is it combines the legal and the tax aspects of a sole proprietor, which is basically a person on their own, partnership, which is two or more people, and then a corporation. It's basically a hybrid of all of those. Now, you may have heard that if you start a business, you want to set up an LLC. And for the most part, this is true. However, there are some other things you need to consider with that. Now, let's take the standpoint of you don't set up an LLC. If you don't set up an LLC or a corporation, you are considered either a sole proprietor, which is basically you on your own, or a partnership if you happen to be working with two or more other people. Now, how this comes into play is, let's say you are a sole proprietor just working on your own, and you start up your business, you sell some products, and you kind of are working with that, but somebody either gets harmed or injured or experiences a loss due to your product, and they go ahead and they sue your company. Kind of where this comes into play is if you are a sole proprietor or a partnership, you have zero legal protection on a personal level, meaning that if your business can't cover the expenses of the damages for that person, they can actually go after your personal assets. So they can go after your car, your 401k bank account, they can go off after your house, things like that. So that's kind of where an LLC comes into play. And the biggest thing with an LLC is what's called a corporate veil. And think of this as a personal shield for protecting you and your personal items from any business related liability. And from there, kind of what can happen is if you maintain that corporate veil, and even if stuff does happen with a product and perhaps someone pursues legal action against you, is if by chance the business cannot sustain those debts or things like that, they cannot go after your personal assets because it's basically the business that they can go after, not the actual person. Now, you might be thinking, hey, if I set up an LLC, I'm in the clear, I can never be personally liable. However, you want to have some considerations with that. And with the corporate veil, it is not automatic, it is not something that is guaranteed, it is something that you have to maintain. And you do that by following set business principles and how you run your business, and that'll help distinguish that you are definitely different from the business and the two are not intermingled. If you fail to maintain your corporate veil, the courts might deem that basically the business is an alter ego of you. And if it does find that, where basically the business is you, you are the business, then they can pierce the corporate veil and go after your personal assets for any debts that you need to pay. Other things to consider is this alter ego doctrine is more of a potential if you are a single member LLC, so one person running an LLC versus multi-member LLCs. And the reason being is that it's a little bit easier for a single person to be kind of intermingling their situation with the business. Whereas if you have two or more people, you can't basically say two people are personally the business. It's a little bit more broken out for that. Now, this is not to say that single member LLCs are dangerous by any means. I have one, plenty of other people have set them up. It just means that you have a little bit more protection if you happen to have multiple members running the business. So if you by chance want to go into business with somebody else or make somebody a partner in the business and you want to set up an LLC, that can offer you a lot more protection in the legal ramifications in many states versus just having a single person running the LLC. Now, the way that you're going to maintain your corporate veil is by basically running your business as if you either had multiple members, but overall that you're running it as it's a lot bigger than it actually is. So think of it as you're running this like one of the big companies, Apple, Amazon, things like that, as kind of a whole. So some of the things of how kind of you need to run your business and how an actual business would do things is, for one, having an operating agreement. And really think of this as kind of the bylaws of how business is going to be conducted within the company and what are the responsibilities of each member of the LLC. And you'll want to fill this out, and you might think it's a little weird, especially if you're a single member person running the LLC, as to, hey, why do I need rules on kind of how to govern myself and define my responsibilities. And it might seem weird, but the big picture is that a big company would do this, so you should do this too. And it's really just more for kind of just official, just laying things out. So if you just want to write out, hey, this is how things are supposed to happen, these are my responsibilities, these are the rules. Really, just one question you need to ask is, would a big company do this? And the answer is yes, so you should too, because we want to look as much like an official company as we can, so we can never be deemed as personally liable for any debts. Now, you can't just write up an operating agreement and not follow it, because if you go into a court of law and they say, hey, this is a very good looking operating agreement, but do you actually follow these rules? And you'd have no alibi and you basically didn't. That's just as severe, because they can say, hey, this person's acting on their own. They're not actually following these company rules, and they can again pierce that corporate veil and go after your personal asset. Another formality that you're going to want to keep track of is your company minutes. And basically this is whenever there's a decision that needs to be made, or some sort of kind of like meeting or get together or something like that on kind of overall how the business should function, is you're going to want to keep the minutes and kind of when each one of those decisions were decided. Again, we want to make sure we're running this as if there was either multiple people or how a big company would go ahead and run this. So things like even when you are first thinking about starting your business, what you want to call your business, what product you want to sell for Amazon FBA, or kind of any other big decisions like that that are going to steer the company in a certain direction. All you want to do is basically write down the date, have kind of like a brief discussion. Hey, Connor, want to start this? Yeah, let's do it. Perfect. Write down the date, sign it off, say kind of what the decision was that was made, and then you're good to go in case somebody ever comes back and asks, okay, when was this decision made? What was happening? Is you can say, yep, it was right there, signed off, and then you'll be good to go. Another very, very big thing that you need to be aware of is funding for your business. And really what that boils down to is, let's say that you're going through, you kind of just bought all your products from your suppliers and maybe you're a little bit low on money and you need to go pay for something for the business. You do not, under any circumstances at that point, want to pay with personal credit card or personal check or anything like that. You want to, if your business needs money, you want to write a check to your business, have the business cash it, go into that business bank account, and then your business can use it from there. You never want to have any situation where you could be deemed as the same as your business and that the business is in fact you. So kind of what you want to think of is, if a business is low on money, how would that be taking place? You wouldn't have the president or CEO of a company write a personal check to pay for something business related. No, you'd have the funders or kind of the shareholders or whatever it happened to be. They would give money to the company and then the company would use it from there. So you should too. And that kind of leads in with the next topic, is creating a business bank account. Now, the real importance with that is kind of the same thing as the funding, is you want to have your business and your personal separate from everything, so everything can be deemed as its own entity. You are separate from your business is separate from you. And the other kind of reason with that, again, is just to make sure you're not intermingling the funds, that you don't accidentally pay for a business bill and that your business does not accidentally pay for a personal bill. Again, we want to kind of keep appearances. We want to make sure everything is split out, and the easiest way to do that is to have separate bank accounts. Now, one last little kind of formality that you want to be aware of, which not everyone is kind of keen on, or I should say is not very aware of, and that is how you enter into contracts with other people. And really what this boils down to is, let's say you're doing emails back and forth between you and a supplier, is you don't want to necessarily sign it your name at the bottom. You want to have something along the lines of your name on behalf of the company, because we want to make sure that it's not just us personally doing business with the supplier. We want to make sure it is the business doing business with the supplier. So if ever kind of you're the personal contact with something, you want to make sure that it's kind of you on behalf of or in regard to this company, and you want to kind of keep the formalities with that. The other thing is kind of if you have an official invoice or contract that you sign it, kind of company LLC um, as adhered to Connor on this date on behalf of things like that. So you kind of want to make sure you have, whenever you sign a document or you're doing an order or you're doing even just basic communication, that it's not just you doing it, it's you on behalf of the business or the business doing it, but you are the facilitator. And that's kind of how you want to look at it. So that is basically it. Now, an LLC is not something you want to take lightly. It is an official business decision that you have to make, and you want to make sure that you talk with one of your local legal advisors or tax advisors to see if this would be a right fit for you. But it is something that you want to jump into with both feet. You can't start it and then now maintain it, because then you're going to be getting into legal situations in case any of those happen to pop up, where the business is you, you are the business. But what we're going to be doing is, with next week's episode with FBA Fridays, we're going to be taking a look at how to actually, the step-by-step walkthrough of setting up an LLC, so you'll be prepared and have all the information that you need to actually get that formula. But before you go ahead and watch next week's video with actually the walkthrough of setting up the LLC, be sure to see the last video, episode 2 of FBA Fridays, on the 3 things that you need to set up prior to starting your business. And that'll be very crucial because some of the things that are in there are going to be needed for actually setting up your LLC. If you like the video, be sure to click that thumbs up button at the bottom. And if you enjoyed and want to see more of what you saw here today, be sure to click the subscribe button below and follow my journey so you can go ahead and start your business too. And in the comments section, let me know kind of what are your fears with starting your own business. Thanks everybody, and have a great rest of your day.